As I worked all day long for this presentation, researching, looking into reports, media reports, to just give you a picture of death, destruction, and disappearances across the country in the last 2 days of monsoon disasters. A gory picture, an alarming picture came to the fore. This is the last Saturday of September 2024, and it's been raining cats and dogs for the last 2 days, triggering floods, landslides, and inundation across the length and the breadth of the country. This monsoon mayhem has killed at least 60 people. This mayhem, compelled, compounded by government inaction, has killed 60 people. That includes 32 deaths in the Kathmandu Valley. More than 64 people have gone missing thus far, and this mayhem has caused infrastructural losses worth billions of rupees. At a relatively cat-proof corner of the roof, a pigeon couple has laid an egg and is trying to hatch it in my home. And whenever I pry into the corner to check the progress of their endeavor, the parent bird flies into the rain out of fear. But where will all these people displaced due to rain-induced disasters go? The unpredictability of climate change induced the weather notwithstanding, thus far a significant section of humanity is relatively safe. But till when? We never know. In this ill-prepared, corruption and instability plagued country, even as stories of death, destruction, and disappearances resulting from monsoon-induced disasters continue to pour in a country living on a wing and a prayer. While we, the survivors, can feel lucky for the time being, who knows when our luck will run out? It can run out in one of those not so bolt out of the blue moments, like walking or driving along roads turned into rivers. This luck can run out even when you are fast asleep in the relative safety of your home, even as a fledgling state presiding over death, destruction, and disappearances at numerous isles of poverty continues to look on from its ivory tower without pondering further over a grim scenario. Let's read excerpts from reports published in several media outlets. By the way, if you have not subscribed to my channel, Soft Talk, I request you once again to subscribe to my channel, comment on our presentation, and press that like button. Your support means an awful lot to us. Thank you. To continue with the presentation, a motorcyclist went missing while driving along a flooded stretch of the ring road at Annapurna Chowk near Sanubharan, Nagarjun municipality on Friday. A CCTV footage shows the incident happened in a matter of seconds. While the rescuers have retrieved the bike, the status of the biker remains unknown as of September 28 evening. A rain-induced landslide at a spot called Naukilu has shut the Narayangarh Mugling Road, with chances of the landslide getting worse and damaging the artery further, states a report. According to the Road Division Office, Chitwan, the road remained operable for light vehicles, but who would want to throw their dear lives in line? One can surmise that this is not the only incident of landslide along that highway, or called Lok Marga in Nepali. Then comes a report from Pansthar. In Chisapani of Pansthar district, Sapana Sherpa, a 24-year-old woman, and her daughter, 5-year-old Dolma Sherpa, died in a landslide amid incessant rains on Friday. Whereas in Panauti of Kavre, Arjun Bhandari and 4 members of his family went missing in a landslide that occurred at around 3:30 a.m. on Saturday. Another report states, in the nick of time, members of 2 other families managed to escape to safety. Also in Kavre district, 50-year-old Pakali Tamang and Nakkali Tamang, a 40-year-old woman from the same family, died when a landslide swamped their house in Timal at around 3 p.m. on Saturday. 3 p.m. on Saturday. Meanwhile, the reservoir of the Kulekhani hydropower project in Makwanpur district was overflowing as of Saturday morning, thanks to incessant rains. While the project, with installed capacity of 60 megawatt and annual design generation of 211 GWH, is operating in full capacity, the discharge gigawatt hours, that is GWH is, I think, uh, while the idle is operating in full capacity, the discharge from the reservoir after partial opening of 2 of its gates has given rise to fears of downstream flooding along the Bagmati River basin. The intensity of rains in the country and the scale of death, destruction, and disappearances resulting from disasters. This at a time when the monsoon is about to withdraw. This is indeed shocking. By now, I'm pretty sure that our political leadership and bureaucracy have already forgotten the simultaneous bus plunge. After all, that incident happened barely a month after the monsoon began, and here we are heading towards its withdrawal. Anyway, 2.5 months. It's a pretty long time in the life of a nation moving quite fast towards you don't know where, isn't it? Without further ado, let me try to invoke very short memories of our powers that be. On July 12, I'm talking about the Simmental bus plunge. On July 12, a landslide swamped a section of the Narayangarh Mugling Road at Simmental in Chitwan district, consigning 2 buses with 65 Nepali and Indian passengers into a raging Trisuli river. Media reports suggested that the construction of a track on an unstable terrain just above the stretch had triggered the landslide that sent the buses bound for Kathmandu from Birganj and for Gaur from Kathmandu into the Trisuli river. Like in the case of the Trisuli disaster, The government of the day mobilizes security personnel for a search and rescue mission whenever a disaster strikes. It even calls friends for help in the times of disasters. Though poorly equipped and not so adequately trained security personnel, they throw their lives in line in search of the missing and in rescue of the survivors. Whenever there's an air disaster, the matter is different. The government goes that extra nautical mile and forms inquiry commissions which come up with bulky reports in the due course of time. But these reports gather dust in some corners along the labyrinthine corridors of power as the political leadership and the bureaucracy move on. As for incidents of death, disappearances, and destruction happening on the road or thereabouts, the government does not even feel the need to do some fact finding on what went wrong and who all were responsible. Even if it's just an eyewash, government leadership or department ministers resigning for failing to save lives and properties in such disasters is out of the question in this country. This is because this is because lesser mortals have such endings written on their foreheads, right? As part of a Sanskrit poem goes, who can erase what's written on your forehead? Pretty soon, I'm quite sure, governments at the center, provinces, and local levels will forget this trail of death, disappearances, and destruction and continue with their development frenzy in a fragile country prone to all sorts of disasters like quakes, floods, lightning, and landslides. They will raise more mountains to the ground, carve out more roads by cutting through more ravines considered unpassable, even for monkeys, dam more rivers, streams, and rivulets for meeting burgeoning water and energy needs across the border, with utter disregard for social, economic, and environmental costs of such undertakings on local communities and sustainability of such projects in a country which is at high risk of climate disasters. While developing more and more gas guzzling infrastructure projects, roads, cross border train links, and petroleum pipelines for increased import and consumption of dirty fuels by destroying more and more farmlands and forests instead of investing in green infrastructure. Our political leadership and bureaucracy will continue to show to the world on several international fora how we are becoming more and more carbon neutral and even carbon negative with each passing day. We are we are getting what we deserve, right? If not, why would we elect a tried, tasted, failed, and morally bankrupt political leadership shown of all vision to power time and time again? If not, why wouldn't we, though still devoid of the much cherished right to reject in a democracy, vote this rotten lot with our feet? With these questions, I wrap up this edition of Soft Talk. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay safe and secure.